extreme when the owner of the company get too greedy. He shifted his focus to make money, and essentially he's destroying the value for the company. So destroy the value he provides to the customer. So here has everything to do with that. So he is a CEO, he's a CFO there, and he's a public company. He's compensated by what? Salary, small, very small. Stock price, absolutely huge portion. There's profitability, a portion of that, but he's absolutely driven by stock price. Okay? So when he's driven by stock price, he's going to think about everything to increase my company price. I'm going to do everything because that's human being, especially when you get into that position. That's how I create value for my company. So stock price, how the stock price was reflected in the company is this. Your company is going to have, so you are a bottled water producer. Your company is going to generate a lot of future cash flow by selling this bottle. And by predicting those future cash flow and discount them back to today, you basically get today's price. So that's what stock price was marked in the stock market. Okay? What I'm trying to tell you is that the stock price has to reflect the intrinsic value of the future cash flow of your business. If your price is too much heated, and one day investors find out, the price is going to go down for sure. And that's what happened here. So get back to the business model here. Sun Edison, CEO, CFO, I'm going to make my money by increasing the stock price. So how do I do that? I'm going to buy as much project as I can. So in that way, I'm going to sell them to my children company over here, and so I get big revenue, and I can have a better asset turnaround. So that way, my price is going up. Over here, Yieldco A and B, they are also incentive. Their incentive is also the same, stock price. They are compensated by the stock price as well. So what they do is also, they go to the market and tell everybody, I got project coming, my revenue is coming here. So what's really special, why people is going to buy this? You're going to ask the question, why people buy a stock price from here? Solar energy is a very particularly different business. You are dealing with government, Canadian government, US government, high credibility. Once you are locking a contract with the government, it's 20 years, guaranteed. Once you're locking a contract, you're locking that price for 20 years. If you produce electricity, he's going to buy for that. It doesn't matter if the oil price is up or down, government is definitely going to buy you. So that business, Yieldco A and B, has very, very low risk. So people love that, and who doesn't? If I retire one day and I'm going to buy that company at a stock price, I know the future cash flow is coming to you constantly. There's no risk. I'm going to retire just by buying those stock. And also that two companies distribute a lot of dividend. So both of these companies here and here are driven by stock price. And how do you do that? Getting more project coming here, more project coming here. So that gets very interesting. Sun Edison CFO sitting over here and also sitting over here. So basically I'm selling stuff to myself, okay? That means whatever price I'm going to sell to myself, I'm going to just accept it. The higher the better. So I'm paying a rich price to myself. So that's like a Ponzi game, okay? So that's what happened, everything. At one point, if your future cash flow of your business does not reflect the price, and the investor is going to ask you, okay, you said you were going to give me a dividend of $5 next month, but in reality, you pay me $4. What happens? Because your asset under that two company is not generating enough cash flow for you, okay? So that's what happened over there. And that's where the stock price goes really weird now. So anyway, get back over here. When they started launching this business model, market reacted really, really positively. Start from like almost $0 right into like $20 range. Same time, the company get crazy about acquisition because they say, okay, stock price is going really up. I think I should be getting more aggressive. Not only just buy a project, I'm going to buy different company to expand my influence in the business. So, by Q4, look at this number here. Size in debt. Q4 2014, I got almost $7 billion debt. Just 3 quarters later, my debt increased like $5 billion there. That's crazy. So 2014 Q1, they did a $2.4 billion acquisition, getting into a different business, wind business. And also Q2, they spent another $350 million acquired Atlantic Power. So at the very beginning, the market still reacts. Q2, Q3, stock price shoot up, $20 to $32. Guess what happened next? They announced in Q3 $2.2 billion to acquire another wind solar company, and that price crashed just in a few days from $32 to almost like nothing. At that moment, there's $11.7 debt over there. So let's talk about debt over here. This is the balance sheet. Remember I told you, balance sheet basically telling you what's your asset, what's your liability, and what's your residual value in your company. So let's just look at the liability. 2008 up to 2014. By the way, 2015, there's no number. They never published anything because they cooked the books. So that's what happened there. I basically added a acquisition number here. So look at this number. From 2013, $6 billion jumped right into $15 billion debt, almost more than double. But at the same time, stockholders' equity is only $1 billion. So if you do a debt to equity ratio, that means basically how much, what's the size of your debt compared to your equity? It jumped from 2014, 6.7 to 10. That's significant. At the very early beginning, when they are still NBMC, and when they just acquired the company, very low. So that's I don't have too much debt, so I don't need to pay a lot of debt service, interest, anything like that. Look at the cash flow. So when you have debt, that's no problem. If I have cash, I can pay that interest I borrowed. Right? I can pay that principal that is going to be due soon. But if I don't have cash, I'm going to run into trouble. So look at this number here, 2014-13. My operating cash flow, my operations, my solar energy, I'm getting negative $770 million negative cash flow. I'm not generating any cash flow from my business. Okay? So what I do is basically borrow money to fund my operation. Financing. Remember financing? Is get a resource, go somewhere, find money to fund my operation. Jump from $706 million in 2012 to $3.8 billion. So it's a risky game here now. Look at the short-term liability. Short-term liability really means you're going to have to pay something you have to pay in the next 1 year. So you gotta have to pay that. If you don't pay that, you're going to run into trouble. 2014, $3.1 billion. In 2008, only $473 million. Okay? It's scary. So put this into a analysis mode. Let's see what happens and why this is risky. So you have a balance sheet over here. On your left side, in 2014, you have asset size of $11.5 billion there, and liability, short-term, long-term, short-term 3.2, long-term 6.9 billion, and your residual of your value of the company is only 1.4 billion. Okay, and look at the short-term, 3.2 billion, and your operating cash flow is negative 0.8 billion. So those are going to be due in a year. So at a minimum, I mean, this is a very simplified stuff, just to demonstrate what this means. At a bare minimum, your financing needs is $4 billion. Okay? So at this point, are you going to throw $4 billion to this company? I'm not generating cash, and I don't have capacity to borrow money, so nobody's going to invest. So that's what happened at that moment. I have no capacity for my financing needs. Okay, so just recap of what happened over here. So early on, they were in the MEMC silicon wafer manufacturing business, getting very competitive. So they pivot the business from silicon wafer manufacturing into a solar energy business. At the very beginning, when they bought the company, they did not inherit the good stuff. What they did is, starting right away, promoted a new CEO and getting very creative to shoot up the stock price, because the reason of CEO, CFO is compensated by stock price significantly. Just to let you know, I think before the CEO jumped into this position, his compensation is like $1 million or something. In 2014, the company loses so much money, he's getting an $8 million pay. So that's what happened here. So when you get too greedy and you forgot about your core business, Sun Edison is in the solar business, and that's what made those companies success. But you change this company from a solar energy business into a financing business, Ponzi scheme, I would say, and you shoot up the stock price. But at one moment, when you're having too much debt, and your debt service, meaning your interest you have to pay, is exploding, and you have no way to generate enough cash to pay that, that's where everything falls off. At that moment, 2006 Q2, it bankrupt. All right, I think that's the two examples I want to give to you. I think the key takeaway for today would be for you as a business owner or future business owner, you have to do a very good bookkeeping from day one for sure. And I think there will be a lot of things you can do with that. Wave accounting is something really free apps you can register, and using that to log in everything you spend, everything income put in there. Also, if your business is getting a little bigger and you want to a little bit more sophisticated accounting tracking system, QuickBooks, I think it's $20 a month, cloud-based. And also, lastly, if you really struggle doing this, don't hate that. Hire a good bookkeeper, and it doesn't cost you much. Probably you ask them coming here every week for 1 hour, then that is done. And pay them like $20 an hour. Then for every month you spend $200 for that. Also, a second takeaway: pricing-based costs in marketing, for sure. And one really reason is that. And don't start a business with loans. That's my personal opinion. Take it or not, but for me, I would never start a business with loans. Cash is king. Watch how you spend your cash, and watch how you collect your cash. In the Sun Edison situation, my business is not generating enough cash to pay for those dividends, to pay for those interest, and that's how I feel. And also, once your business grows into a good size, you can basically get a good accountant working for you, or get an accountant as your business partner. So I'd like to conclude this presentation with a quote from Marcus Lemonis. he's a TV show guy, not TV show guy. He has a TV show in CNBC. It's called The Profit. And what he does is basically helping a lot of distressed small business in the States. Doesn't matter what kind of small business. He jumps in, he uses his real money and to help those companies. And his net worth is like $900 million, close to $1 billion. Here it is. If you don't know your numbers, then you don't know your business. That's my contact information. Phone, WeChat. Feel free to call me or give me email. Ask anything. Alright.
So my question is, like for a startup, from the financial point of view, like when is the right time to thinking about introducing investment, like angel investment?
Well, I've be honest to you, I'll never get to that point. Right now, I'm also having a startup with my friends there. We are not getting that point. What we are thinking is we want to stay lean as much as we can at the very beginning. Only if we validated that our product or service has a need and customer coming back and keep asking my business. At that point, I think the bottleneck for us is gonna be capital, because if I have no capital, there's no way I can expand the business. But I think before you get to that point, you spend money on something not validated, and people, once you spend your money out, maybe the product, there's no need in the product. Like the first number one reason, you create something that's very great for you, but there's no need in the market. So before that, I don't think you should really get much capital, raise money there. That's just my personal experience. Okay, other question?
I also have a question. I think it's really interesting of how you mentioned Sun Edison as like a failed example of like why they kind of shift their focus from what they were really good at to like a financial investment area.
Yes.
That also got me to think about, you know, Amazon. They started as like a digital or oriented company with like I don't know, like selling as their focus, like online selling and whatever. But now they're recently also shifting their focus to I think financial services. Like they also like have credit cards, and they also wanted to launch their own bank account somehow.
Right.
I think some of the rumors. How do you? But it seems like they're doing pretty well, like in terms of their like revenue generation on
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but like, do you have any like insights about like in terms of like what do you mean by like shifting focus or lose their focus, but also like strengthening or expanding their business to another area? Like those are, I guess, two big companies, but like as in, how does that apply to like startup films also?
Absolutely, that's a great question. A lot of people struggle with what's my core and should I pivot to that position or this. I mean, get back to this business here. You see, every company, Amazon, every company, like a company, has a vision. The vision over this company is better performance and health. So that's a huge definition. It's like my ideal world that I want to live is everyone has better performance, health. And how do you achieve that vision? You can do many different things. For him, one thing he can do is basically get 100% natural smoothie. And maybe the next day he's going to get into a different business, like a physics, like a personal trainer, and also nutritionist, and offer advice to help people live better. So if you are looking into Amazon, I don't remember their vision, but I think it's because their vision is that position and finance, like an online store, those kind of fall into the business vision. And that's what the owner believes, so that's why it fits really well to create a competitive advantage for that company to survive. So that's where you should look at. Right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Question?
So for the first example, which is fresh smoothie one, what do you think about the market demand of such healthy smoothie?
I never studied the market size, but based on that location, I think he was able to convert. So 34 months in the business, he was able to convert like 15% of customers. But consider the situation, this owner is taking a full-time job somewhere else to fund this business. So he wasn't really put much attention to this business. But I would say it's, based on the price, it might be a niche market. Yeah. It's a lot of people don't know what's the benefit to drink them. So there will be a lot of time, energy, price you spend, not price, the money you spend to educate those customers and develop your new customer. It takes time to let people understand why minerals is important, why vitamin is important, why essential acid is important, and why fiber, how much fiber is important to you. He's that guy. Get into those details and educate his customer. So I think for now, it's probably a niche market for his product.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of pitching competition, like usually you need to do a business plan to demonstrate to the like all the kind of stuff. So they all have the part of a financial plan for this pitching, right? And I wonder is like in terms of how to do a proper financial plan. I mean, I read a few stories. I've listened to a few podcasts about some of the very successful startups and the companies, even now in Silicon Valley. Their financial plan is basically just rubbish. So like they copy something from other companies' business plans, they move it to theirs, they like correct a few numbers to adapt their needs, and they just show it to the investors. But eventually they all get money. So yeah, that's why I say, how do you do a proper financial plan?
Right.
Show it to your investors.
I think to start doing a financial, I think you're talking about financial planning for a company. First of all, you need to have a great definition what you want to achieve, say, for the next 1 year. Is my focus going to be just to spend money to validate my product in the market, or my focus it has passed that point, I want to make some income here. So based on that, you do a budget, and the budget is going to have a lot of assumptions like who's going to be my customer and how much he's going to buy from me and why. The assumptions behind that is very important. Validate that, and every number has to drive from there. And also, once you have that picture, you have a sales revenue, and based on the sales revenue, you're going to plan what kind of resource you're going to spend to get there. Say next month, I'm planning to sell $50,000 of my juice. Right now, I only have 2 staff working here. I better run and hire someone. So based on that target, I'm going to lay out what resource I need, and after that, how much I'm going to spend. At the bottom, if I don't have enough cash, I have to think about where do I get cash, or that plan just doesn't mean anything. So for me, you definitely start backwards. Think about what you want to achieve, a small objective for the next month, a few months. Then working backwards, how you get there.
So is it okay to crank up the number a little bit to show it to the investors, to attract them to the investment?
You mean, is it okay to share those numbers?
I mean, to add a little bit to the numbers.
I think it's necessary. For me, I'll give you an example. The other day, I was approached by one of the people. I don't know how to get to me, but it's a it's a business. They are trying to raise money, and I asked for their presentation, and also asked for what's your financial projection, and they gave me the financial projection. It's not very detailed, and because I did a lot of finance accounting stuff, so I know where to look at the number, and I basically took their number and calculated the internal rate of return. It basically tells you how much return you can get from your investment every year after tax, and it comes up a ridiculous number, and that number tells me there's no such thing in this world can have such high IRR, and basically tells me this owner does not do a good plan to project his business. So I'm questioning about what's his intention doing over here. If I ask him more detailed question, he probably won't go there. So
Yeah.
so yeah, absolutely. For me, I think you should share the numbers.
There's always some gray area.
Some gray area, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to share about all the detail,
Yeah.
because the financial plan can really reveal almost everything about what you do. But you can just show a number, but don't show your calculation there. I think there's ways to avoid that. Explain the numbers. So that's what I think. All right. I think that's all, right? Cool.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.